Hi, I'm Keegan, and this is A Bunch of Gamers. This is our 63rd episode of Werewolf the Apocalypse, 20th Anniversary Edition. I'm going to go around and have my players introduce themselves.
I'm Sam. I play Cora Two-Hearts. She's an Arun and Liquid Fenris.
Hi, I'm Tyler, and I play Kyle. He's 19, a Philodox, and has found his purpose with the Garu. He's known as Guards the Low, Child of Gaia.
Hello, I'm Adam. I play Mark Guides the Fallen, and he's a third of the Children of Gaia.
Hi, I'm George. I play Roy Mindscape. He is a Ragabosh with the Stargazers.
Hi, I'm Sean. I play Zeb Speaks-in-Sweet-Whispers. He is a Theurge of the Silent Striders.
I'm Thomas. I'm playing Dimitri Howls-In-Memory, a Lupus Galliard of the Bone Gnawers.
All right. And so, after investigating the Sept of the Winter Fang and finding the mountains of dead, burying them, and then discovering Good House International's plan to use the heart of the Karen as a way to taint their product and ship it out across the country, if not the world. You were formulating plans before you heard the howls of Black Spiral dancers. You didn't get a full count of them, but you knew there were many. And so you fled into the night. As it gets closer and closer to midnight, the howls of the spirals fall in the distance as they seem to stop pursuit. You're all out of breath. Could I get a stamina roll from everyone? Difficulty 6. You need 2 successes.
I'm not even winded.
Ooh.
I am.
Sean.
So, Sean, you've taken a point of bashing damage that just won't seem to regenerate until you get a good night's rest. Also, you and... So Zeb and Kyle will also have lost 1 willpower from just sheer mental exhaustion through the run.
Alrighty.
So, and with that, what do you do?
I think we should probably find a safe spot well away from here so that we can rest and recuperate so that tomorrow, if we do run into anybody, then we'll be at full power.
Sounds like a good idea.
I agree.
So, question actually. What else did we want to find out that we weren't able to?
It was how we could possibly take care of this ourselves. Like, cleanse the area, I think. It was like, we need to figure out how to, like, cut off the Cairn energy. And I think you were hoping that could happen, like, with our group.
Oh, like we were trying to seal the cairn so that
Yeah.
they couldn't use it. Yeah. I don't know if we'd be able to find out anything about that in the trailers. We also were wanting to destroy everything. We were gonna wreck shit until before the black spirals came. But
Does this answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I'm just wondering now, like, would we be better off leaving and coming back with someone who actually can close the cairn, or are we better off leaving and coming back with an entire group to kill all of the spirals? Just because if we destroy everything right now,
then they'll know.
Right, they'll know for sure. Because I mean, they knew we were there, but I imagine they don't know how many we were.
Yeah.
And well, we didn't fight them, so they might just think maybe we investigated and, well, are going to leave. They might not know we'll come back, but if we destroy everything, they'll probably up the guard or what have you.
That suggests that maybe the best course of action, I'm not saying this is right, but I'm thinking maybe the best course of action could be to get a force large enough to take care of it all at once. Not only do we attack the hive, we also just obliterate the campsite.
That's what I'm thinking.
And that would require many more Garu than just us.
Definitely. So all the information that we have now, we should probably take it back to the Sept and figure out where to go from there.
I agree.
Right?
Sounds like a plan.
Alrighty. Then that's what we do.
You guys travel for a couple more hours. It's about, 3 in the morning before you finally find a den that doesn't have that kind of sickly smell to it like the bawn of the former Karen. You can all cramp in lupus form as you all collapse from exhaustion and get a few hours of sleep. When it's finally the next day and you awaken, ready to travel again. Do you want to travel in the physical or the umbral? After all the traveling you've done, the moon has brightened since you started your journey.
How much?
It is a gibbous moon.
That's fairly safe.
Umbral would be faster than physical travel, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I remember it took weeks for the group to reach the Sept.
Mm-hmm.
If it took weeks for us to go back, then much more damage could be done by then.
Exactly.
Okay.
I agree. Yeah, we should travel through the Umbra.
Yeah.
And so you pass into the Umbra and you start traveling the moon paths. You're moving through the physical world as the ambient light of Helios fills the area as you pass through lands of spider silk and of forests, and it switches constantly as you're moving towards your goal. When Helios finally sets, you see Luna rise over the horizon, twice the size as she is in the physical realm, her light lighting the way as you see paths open up, and you see what appears to be a great wolf with a silver mane shaking, its eyes crafted of starlight and its teeth galaxies.
Ooh. Does anyone recognize the wolf? I have an idea as a player, but I don't know if my character does.
Does Mark recognize the spirit?
You can do an intelligence occult difficulty 6.
If you don't have any occult?
It's a straight intelligence roll. Add 5 to the difficulty, and if that puts you over 10,
Nice roll,
you
Sean.
can't make it.
Cool. I'm not gonna do it.
Looks like everyone who attempted it recognized this is one of the lunar spirits. This is a loon of the gibbous moon. It is a spirit of light, protection, and song.
Cora will stop and point to Mark and like kind of motion. You're up. Also Zeb, like, y'all two surge it up. Enjoy.
Now he'll look over to Mark. This is a good omen.
It certainly is. Let's go converse.
Very well.
Greetings, Loon.
As it looks at you and nods, as its voice kind of chimes to everyone who doesn't have spirit speech, it almost sounds like the chiming of music, like the wind hitting the trees in such a way that it's almost like giving an ethereal sort of song as it speaks to the two Thurges. The mother hangs high, and her light shines in the deep darkness. Tell me why you've come, for I see the shadow mired in your presence.
We move under duress. Your presence and your protection are most welcome, as is your light. There is darkness behind us, and we bring forth its news of the destruction it has wrought against creations of Gaia. And he'll look over at Mark.
Yes, my companion speaks the truth. We are of an urgency, and perhaps maybe you could point us to bridges that could reach our point of destination faster.
I can help you, for my aunt weeps, your mother, her sorrow deep. I will call a gift to the sky. Travel swiftly, or you will die.
We shall heed this warning. Thank you, Great Spirit.
As the spirit turns around, its mane kind of flares up as it howls, and you see a moon bridge rip out of the earth and launch towards the cairn you are heading towards.
Thank you, Great Spirit.
Quick!
Cora will quickly offer some gnosis and go.
As you shoot up. It takes what would have taken days, takes less than an hour. As you land and you see all the members of Little Brother there standing there, full of Krynos in a bit of a tizzy, as their spirit was not expecting a moon bridge, as they look at you and growl, as one speaks up. I didn't expect you back this soon.
Elune has granted us safe passage quickly for news, and
I see. Then perhaps we will send you back to your home Sept. Shall we prepare the moon bridge for you?
Greatly appreciated.
As they summon the great spirit of wind, as it howls and the wind tunnel picks you up and launches you with the moon bridge, as you return to the Sept of the Sacred Stone.
Awesome. Is there anyone at the arrival point?
Yes. As you arrive, Calls the Night is there. The Lupusborn looks at you, turning her head.
Who are we looking for at this point? Probably Regender, huh?
That's up to you.
Regender and the Master of Rites.
Yes. The right master is Fate Dancer, so we're looking for Fate Dancer and Regender. All right.
Okay. They are both on Sept grounds, as you got to the Sept relatively quickly. It's maybe 7 at night.
Perfect.
On the 12th.
Perfect. So we'll ask Calls the Night. You know exactly where Fate Dancer and Final Days are.
Yes. Final Days proceeds by the tree. He rests and meditates, seeming to try and commune with spirits who refuse to listen to him. Fate Dancer is preparing her plans to teach the Garu ways to the younger, specifically about the stars. She is over the crest near the burn scar, trying to locate paths so that the torches of the scab do not block the light of the stars.
Perfect. Thank you.
I think Sweet-Whispers and I should head to Fate Dancer, and we can talk to her about the symbol and ritual and rite that's occurring over at Winter Fang.
yep.
Fair enough. And then we'll all go, and Kyle will let Regender know what we've discovered.
Alright.
I guess Dimitri is gonna go wherever he thinks. Well, I guess to Regender, because he has that shell casing that he picked up at the cairn.
Okay. And George, who are you going to go see?
I would go see Fate Dancer.
Okay. So we'll start with Regender, as he's sitting there under the tree meditating. You see kind of a frustration upon his face.
Cora will just clear her throat a little bit.
His eyes kind of flutter open. Oh, Cora? Kyle? What happened?
Bad news.
What kind of bad news? Sit.
We reached the Sept. A loon spirit hurried us on our way.
And?
As expected, the Sept has fallen. But there is more.
Alright.
The Black Spirals took the Sept so that they could use the cairn to power a paper mill. The paper mill is going to turn out tainted pages that will act as minor fetishes, and it should be fully operational by October 12th. There are many spirals, more howled than we could count, so it could easily be turning into a hive.
Okay, then I must ask you this. As his voice gets grave and deep, and there is a certain kind of anger there that you have never truly experienced before, and it feels like it's radiating on the both of you. You said that there were more howls than you could count. Did you try to investigate? Try and sneak in? Try and count the number of spirals there were before we went in, so that we would not go in blind?
We were worried that with the amount of time it would take to come back here and then return, the number could change easily. I had hoped that we could leave a few days in advance of whoever it is that can close that cairn to stop them from using it, so that we could do more reconnaissance, but we felt it was necessary to get this information back as fast as possible.
My next question is this. Did you even look for the entrance to the hive? Hives are underground.
We did not realize that they were planning to make it a hive until we were on our way out, away from the spirals who were chasing us.
I am gravely disappointed in both of you. You are Adrian now, which comes with greater responsibility. You had others with you that you could have sent back. You traveled with the Silent Strider, and his tribe is swift. The fact that we may go in blind could lead to death. And I must wonder if I must shoulder some of the burden, for in my fondness for you, Kyle, I gave you a task that was too easy for one seeking the rank that you now hold.
We can go back and send...
It's too late now, Cora! As you see him shift into Glabro, unconsciously.
It is too late. And now we must fight blind, and now we must work through this and learn if it is worth it, if this alliance is worth it. I will have to speak with Fate Dancer, and you two will accompany me.
Okay.
I never thought I could be this disappointed in the both of you.
As he gets up and starts walking off. Meanwhile, with Zeb, Roy, and Mark, you see Fate Dancer. She's got a bit of a walking stick. She's in nice hiking kind of attire as she's moving through the ashes of the fire and the burnt trees and the wreckage, as she's just moving along and trying to find safe routes so that they don't disturb things too much if a number of Garu go with her. As her ear twitches slightly as she hears you approaching, and she goes, "Hello?"
Fate Dancer, we bring sad and dark tidings and seek your counsel. Guides the fallen, myself, and Mindscape.
I see.
We've recently come back from the fallen Sept of the Winter Fang. And what has happened from our investigations is that only one survived. He is currently back at the Sept. And the reason why the Sept and the Cairn were absolutely devastated was because there was a paper mill that's going to be put in place. But Zeb and I noticed very ritualistic patterns in the blueprints and setup. And I will turn to Zeb.
The heart of the cairn remains open. That which is Gaian is dead. They have constructed themselves to harness the ley lines and power that reside there to develop, what did you call them, Mark? Cheap trinkets, but really to infect the people there. It breeds of desperation, corruption, and all the things the Wyrm brings, but they're able to take advantage of this open pit of energy due to the destruction of the Guru that lived there and the falling of the Sept of the Winter Fang. This ritual, we were fortunate that guides the fallen discovered its better nature. We do not know how to proceed. Our leaders are speaking with Regender, we believe now. We would speak to you about this ritual, what we might do to act.
I see. Well, that is something. There are rituals that can close cairns. And we may be able to get someone out there with you to take care of it. I may have to go myself, as it is a rather powerful cairn. Or, I'm sorry, it's a rather powerful rite, and I don't know how many of you have learned enough about rituals to do it.
There is a complication insofar as the spiral dancers that are there now looking to sow themselves in for their hive, infecting the land and exploiting that corruption as the ritual continues. I do not know what that time means in the case of this ritual, as it is certainly beyond my expertise.
There was indication of a rush to finish the ritual as well. So the timeline is small.
That's true. Though, if I'm being honest, doing it right and keeping as many of us alive, even if a few tainted pages leave this paper mill, would be better than rushing in and losing 5-6 Garu and getting it closed before any tainted pages leave, as harsh as that view is.
Of course.
But I will have to start looking over things and maybe consult the Galliards and the Silver Record about what can be done.
Is there any way we can help?
Oh, well, perhaps I might be able to teach you the beginning stanzas of the ritual, but it would take too long to teach it to you. It usually takes some of the best students maybe 3 weeks at best, but closer to 4 or 5 to master the ritual.
That's time we don't have.
Exactly. But once again, if that was the proper way of doing things, then it is to be.
What if I were to contact Thurges at my Sept? Perhaps maybe you can collaborate with them.
That's possible as well. We can talk it over, but for now I think I need to speak with Regender about this. Speaking of which, I'm assuming that your fellow pack members, Mark, went to go speak to him.
Yes. Kyle and Cora had much to speak with him. I'm sure it's going well.
I'm sure. They were able to, and I'm sure they did the proper reconnaissance. All right, let's head on that way. As you guys start heading back, you see Regender is already on his feet and walking towards Fate Dancer. You see him in Glabro form, his eyes almost ablaze, as he kind of speaks to her, his voice almost bellowing.
Sister of older brother, I have come to speak with you on matters most grave.
As she takes a deep breath, and mark Zeb, Roy, perception, alertness, difficulty 8, please.
Oh boy.
So Roy and Mark, you hear her under her breath. Oh, we're going to be this formal, okay. Final days. Brother of Unicorn, child of Gaia. Your sister listens. What do you have to say? As you hear Regender's voice bellow.
The canyon between us must close for now, for darkness spreads, and the serpent slithers, not since the days of old when it thrashed across the earth, and filled the oceans, and crashed the islands, and rended. Spirit from flesh has the destroyer been this close. We must speak now, and call a grand moot for our Karen. All members of the Sept must return if they are able, for we must speak, for dark business begins soon. We call the moot tomorrow. Prepare yourself and prepare your Galliards, for the children of Gaia and the Utena will sing together, and we will sing the dark story at once.
As you see Fate Dancer kind of taken aback as she goes, the dark story is told during the new moon, so that the light of Luna does not guide a path to us for the dread father to follow. As Regender shakes his head.
The matter is too grave, and the reminder must be given. For if we do not remember our past, we are doomed to failure. I bring before you 2 Adrian, who failed to bring us all the information. Speak with them and learn what you can. And I have too much preparation to repeat their insufficient information, even though it would take only but a few gasps. Speak with this one, Howls-In-Memory, for he is a fresh one from the Karen that fell, and he may have many more things to say, ease his soul, and show him comfort.
As Fate Dancer looks over both Cora and Kyle, you see kind of the shock on her face, and goes, I will. Honored Elder, grant me this. I am honored that you grant me this opportunity. We will speak tomorrow by the fire, as it smolders and the fire spreads. Or, as it smolders and the smoke spreads, he replies and walks away. as she looks over Cora and Kyle, and she goes, the fuck was that about?
I suggested that we return here as fast as possible after learning what we did, and I now see that that was wrong.
I see. Oh, by the way, Cora, Kyle, due to the fact that you are held to a higher standard at your new rank and all that, you will have lost 4 glory and 2 honor. As Fate Dancer goes, okay. As she takes a deep sigh and she goes, that's disappointing, but she looks at you both. How are you two? You look shaken.
And I refuse to answer.
Okay. Come on, let's get a place to sit and you can tell me what you've learned. She takes you by one of the burnt trees and she sits down and pulls out kind of like a little notebook.
All right, Mr. Remembers everything.
Do you want me to go through everything I know, or should we just...
Well, yeah, we'll just skip ahead as you kind of just give her the gist of what you told your gender. She goes, okay. Yeah, the numbers would have been good to know, and the reason I say that, and just so you both know, I'm rather disappointed in him for not saying, but he did put a lot of trust in the both of you, and he is still Garu. Well, when they have that kind of resources, clearly they're working with this company, it could mean that they have more resources than we would normally see with a hive. We know that the hive up in Cripple Creek isn't really connected to any real mortal elements. They're hidden, and they're powerful that way. But if they have any kind of mortal aid, then they're even more deadly. And it's something we have to keep in mind.
I understand.
Did the others tell you about the ritual?
Yes, they did.
And is there a way to close the cairn?
There is. The rite is powerful, and it would take time to teach you all, and sending 2 small packs seems insufficient. And so we would probably want to send others to do this as well. The question soon becomes, who do we send? And that'll be a question for tomorrow for the moot.
How long does the ritual take?
The ritual takes several hours of preparation. There are ways to do it faster, but it can cause irreparable damage to Gaia herself, in that it could cause a screaming wound, and so even though the worm cairn is closed, it will resonate through the umbra for centuries, if we're not careful.
Mark will step forward a little bit, and he'll chime in. And as much as it will pain all of us, some of these cheap dollar store trinket fetishes are probably going to be made anyway.
That's a real possibility, and it will depend on how desperate the situation is. The 2 of you, I know that you're shaken. I hear it in your voice, and Cora, lying is not one of your strongest suits, nor is hiding your emotion. And she kind of chuckles as just an attempt to kind of cut through the sort of tension here. But if you can start researching this company and bring that information to the moot, it will be helpful.
All right. Anything I can do to help?
As she takes just a deep breath, could I get perception empathies from everyone? Diff 6.
Awesome. I am not a lizard person. Sweet.
Okay. So it looks like you all kind of notice that she's hurting for Cora. Like, it's the same kind of thing when you see the disappointment in her, because she does agree with Regender's scolding, but she also has that kind of conflicted, it seems too much, and she sees the emotional pain on the both of you, and she's trying to balance that and doing it poorly. Despite your differences in the past, she still clearly cares deeply for the both of you. And you're Dimitri, right?
Yes. Yes, I am Dimitri, also Howls-In-Memory.
Well, it is good to meet you, Howls-In-Memory. I am Teresa Fate Dancer, member of Older Brother. I have been the Master of Right here for much of my Adrian and Athro career.
It is nice to finally meet you. I have heard stories.
It comes with the rank, I'm sure, but it's good to know and be recognized. I wish I had met you under better tidings, Howls-In-Memory, and it seems you are of the four-legged kin? I smell it upon you.
And Dimitri is going to nod and say, yes, I was born lupus.
You carry yourself well. I don't mean that as an insult, I just know that many lupus, especially the ones here, prefer to reject the human side. Perhaps too much like how many Hamids reject the wolf, despite Gaia's mandates of balance.
It took a lot of time and practice. I was not born in the wild. When with my first change, I suppose other lupus would say that I did not know how to be a wolf. I see myself as not lupus or Hamid, but as Garu.
In that way, you have many connections with the Metis, I suppose. But we will be doing the moot tomorrow. We haven't had one of these since before you two had gone through your first change, as there hasn't been one necessary. And we were going to do one as a teaching tool during the new moon, but you had to leave before we succeeded, or before we had a chance to do this particular Garu tradition.
And Dimitri's gonna reach into his pocket and say, I did find something in the cairn. This casing, this shell from the bullet that killed the comrade of Fomori's Bane. And he's gonna show the shell casing, and it's gonna add, I noticed that there is the serial number here. I know that you can trace to where this particular bullet may have been manufactured. It may give us another target to focus on after we have avenged the death of... He's going to trail off a little bit there.
And she grabs the casing from him and looks it over. As she gives it a nice sniff. I'm not too well versed in these things, but we do have a resident who might be able to help you. As she hands it over back to Dimitri and goes, one Ragna Quickwire. She's a glass walker, and she tends to have the technology thing, quite well locked down. She might be able to help you in this.
I will seek her out.
All right. Steel yourselves and be ready for the moot tomorrow. It will begin at sundown.
Of course, honored Athro.
But you all seem a bit distraught. I assume you want to keep your own company and either talk things out or rest, and I will accept that. No one wants a doting old 50-something hanging around, giving wisdom as she gets up and kind of cracks.
Wisdom would be appreciated.
My wisdom to you is that the Get are fighters, from what I heard. And part of being a fighter is when you're knocked down, you pick yourself up, learn, and keep going.
You are correct.
I know. That's why I said I was full of wisdom.
Thank you for your kind words, Fate Dancer. But I promise you we will not make this mistake ever again.
I know. And I trust that you won't. It's okay, as she kind of takes a deep breath, to process the rebuke and put it in context, too. As she goes, anyway, I'm going to head down the hill. I'll see you all tomorrow, yes?
Of course.
Of course.
Get a glimpse of Gaia's bounty and let it let it soothe you. And so she moves down the hill. As a kind of nice cool breeze starts to come, it's pleasant in these warm summer nights, especially on the mountain.
Mark is gonna kind of stand up and kind of start patting his hands, like getting ready for work like he was at the farm. And he goes, well, I think one thing that could help us take our minds off things is help prepare for the moot tomorrow. I'm sure things could be reconciled at the moot. Anything could happen.
I agree. I will help you prepare, brother.
And he'll look at Garcelo and Two-Hearts, and he'll kind of request their company, would you two like to join us? Or maybe perhaps you need some time.
Go ahead.
We'll do what Fate Dancer suggested and investigate the companies.
Good idea. We can prepare for the moot, but maybe that could help you occupy your mind. Well, of course it will. What am I saying? Do know that if you want to talk, I'm here.
Thank you.
And he'll just give kind of the boyish teenage smile. Just go, that's what I'm here for. I'll gladly do it for my pack.
Well, you guys kind of hang out for a bit, and Mark, Roy, Dimitri, and Zeb all kind of start prepping for the moot, doing some things here and there to help before you all kind of finally go to drift off to sleep and are greeted by Helios in the morning as the sun warms your fur as you are lying on the mountainside. The lack of trees, of course, allowing the blazing light to just strike you right and warm your bodies.
Awesome. I guess I'll get together with Kyle and figure out how we can get more information on this company.
Okay.
And the rest of you, what are you guys kind of doing to try and prepare for the moot?
I guess help me out here, Keegan. Do we have roles to play? I mean, I got it, this is a role-playing game, but I mean, for the moot itself, do the packs have a specific role that they play as they, when they do this recitation?
No, you just prepare kind of like what you saw, how you saw it, because you're probably going to get called on, right? And so you might want to think about how you present that and maybe start thinking up some arguments of why your plan works.
Why our plan, like why the reconnaissance and when we left, like why that works?
Or like what you want to do next. Like think about what you guys want to do next and then try and present that.
Okay.
Okay,
that helps.
Yeah. Okay, definitely. We can prepare an argument of, because Winter Fang was supposed to be the Sept and Cairn that the meeting of, presenting the alliance idea between Five Mirrors and Sacred Stone. So we need to, because that Sept was important to not only us, but, us, Sacred Stone, it was also important to Five Mirrors. We should get them involved. Definitely.
Okay.
I know for sure that Five Mirrors would be, because if I remember correctly, they had a moon bridge to Winter Fang.
Yep.
Yeah, so...
All right, so that's kind of where Mark is. Roy, what are you thinking about doing?
Well, if I knew of the ape that attacked, I wouldn't really think of anything besides Maxwell. And with killing Morgan, or at least Morgan dying in the crossfire at some point due to his actions, I would just want to go in guns blazing, take them by surprise, overwhelm them, surround them, and don't give them a chance to fight back.
Okay.
Could I make an addition?
That's the rage talking.
Yeah, I mean, Roy's probably not thinking straight. He might not be trying to collaborate with Mark.
I also want to add that Mark is kind of going around, like speaking with and like trying to talk with other Sept members, pretty much, like any who would like listen.
Okay, we can
because since the
pick those
moot
out,
is going to be incorporating anybody, he's pretty much trying to garnish his side. He's like, how many can I get to support this plan?
Okay.
I'd say Dimitri is going to be on board with that for sure.
Okay. And so we know Roy is in the hit him hard, don't care who else is involved method. How about Zeb?
Oh, there's kind of two parts to this, Keegan. One of it is all the people that attacked, where did they go? And why did they choose that place first? Like, we know why it's important to us, but some of his reflection, whether it's through visions, whether it's speaking to other spirits of wisdom, some of that's trying to answer those questions, because his idea, or maybe his thought, because he's not in a rune, he's on a war, the same type of warrior, is they would go there to try to prevent to close that cairn, to at least stop the access to the energy, like a raid. After that, you might not have the epic battle that you want, because we don't know how many are there. So he's really trying to look at those first two questions first. I should maybe come up with some reason, to figure out why there, where did they go, and then if we do go there, the goal should be to at least stop them from subverting that open source of gnosis from the planet.
All right, sounds good.
That's a good point. Speaks with sweet whispers. That is.
I should have said that in character. Sorry, man. Yeah.
No problem. We'll play it off.
Yeah, well, we can roleplay it as you guys are doing your thing. So.
Yeah. I'm happy to do that instead.
But we'll start with Cora and Kyle as you guys kind of wake up and prepare for the day and the possible gathering of information.
Awesome.
So, library?
Sure. As good a place as any.
So you guys head to the library and you start looking around. What do you guys want to look for? And I'll tell you what to roll, or if you just got information.
Maybe starting with... I have one in computer.
Yes.
Maybe starting with like just a simple Google search of this company.
Okay. So that does not require a roll. They have their own website and everything. Good House International is a paper milling company and book provider. They provide books, magazines, things like that. They've also teamed up with several publishers. They have a slogan basically of "We produce paper but also provide for the environment," as they talk about how they plant a tree for X amount of books to really make them look like one of the green, real helpful companies out there. Their whole slogan is, as you see on their website, you see this devastated forest, and on the other side it has a green field of massive trees, as it says, "Through supporting our product, you can help the earth breathe again."
What a load of bullshit. Okay. Absolute bullshit.
There are, I guess, 2 or 3 other things that I want to do. I want to also look into the construction company, the Safe Haven Construction.
Okay.
I was doing that. I want to see specifically if they have any ties to, like, Pentex.
Okay.
Especially since they seemed to mostly be human. But now that they know we've been there, it's possible that they'll replace some of those humans with maybe, like, first team people.
Okay.
I want to know what to expect there. And then I want to see if Good House International is potentially linked with Magadon.
Okay. So you look for Safe Haven Construction, and you find that they talk about it and like, yeah, we've done this. And if you want to get, as they're talking about how they build some of the best, most energy efficient office buildings in the United States. We have corporate offices in America, Canada, all over Europe. We just started getting in China, as it's one of those big marketing things. Could I get an intelligence computer roll, difficulty 5, please?
Tried to fail that roll.
Okay. So the both of you find through your search looking into that they have this kind of page dedicated to recent projects to show how well constructed their stuff is. And you see, we built the Magadon producing plant in Denver. As you can see, we did it in this amount. We did it in only 3 months. We did it effectively, and thus we did it energy efficiently, showing that we can build a better tomorrow.
I could hear the shit-eating grin on your face. The Magadon facility, did that have anything... Like, DIA, for instance, had areas that was kind of just Fomori. Like, there weren't regular people allowed there. Was there anything like that we found in the Denver facility?
In the Denver Magadon facility, during the nighttime, it was patrolled inside with Fomori as security guards.
Well, and so specifically I'm asking, though, if there was an area of the building that would have been made specifically for those kinds of people or creatures. Basically, the construction company might know.
You didn't come across that personally. They might have done that in the labs, but that's the best you can guess.
Okay. Let's look at Good House International and, well, for one, where they have other factories. And we can find out, for instance, like if other Cairns or other groups of Garu have been killed in those areas.
Okay.
So, yeah, you can do that. That's another computer roll, difficulty 5.
Hey.
Man. Cora, you're on top of it. You find a couple places across the East Coast. There's a few even in Canada, things like that. You don't have exact locations of lots of Cairns, but you do recall at least one of the paper mills being uncomfortably close to one of the cairns you visited on your way down to the Sept of the Tranquil Swamp when you were moving down the East Coast in the Georgia-Virginia area.
Fantastic. So we'll keep that in mind.
Well, and can we also, like, make a very crude map or print a crude map of it so that we can show other people and ask if they know of cairns near those places?
You can do that,
I bet.
Yeah, you can do that.
10 cents a page.
Damn.
Highway robbery.
Put myself in the poorhouse.
We've been saving our money really well, honestly. I just want to point that out. Like,
you can turn into wolves and just, like, eat rodents, though, which does help.
Yes. Yeah. There's no frivolous things. Alright, so we'll print out a couple of map copies.
Okay.
Of where those buildings have been placed and stuff. I don't know.
I mean, I guess otherwise, just seeing if there are any other ties between Good House International and Magadon, since we know Safe Haven Construction has ties.
Okay, you start looking. You do find one other thing, thanks to Cora's roll. Good House International is the exclusive paper provider for the Red Network and all of their wonderful, wonderful books on American history.
Fantastic.
So, what that tells us right now is how much power this company potentially has, how many people their books will get out to relatively quickly.
Okay.
So I think it sets some of the danger, the risk.
Okay, that makes sense.
You could always do things like look up what kind of books they typically publish.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because they must do things outside of the Red Network, too.
Yeah, like they publish their own stuff.
Okay.
So that would be that'd be one more roll. Ah, Tyler coming in clutch.
Finally.
Hey.
So, Kyle, Cora, you start looking into it. They do a lot of dime-back, like, romance novels. A lot of it's would be considered relatively trashy. There's several blogs talking about how they poorly portray relationships and how they portray certain aspects of abuse as romantic as kind of a trope in a lot of their books. You also find that they publish for a lot of political reactionaries, specifically regressives, who one of their top-selling books is Immigration, The March to Death, ?
Oof.
And Kyle, you find a couple other things that you find a lot of those books that kind of play up the military performing war crimes to save the day sort of thing. Lots of things like that. A lot of very action, classical machismo stuff to really kind of play into some of the more toxic elements of U.S. culture.
Oh, okay. So I would like to look at job listings for both companies to see if they hire security themselves.
Okay. If you could make that roll. All right. So, going through it, it looks like they do hire some of their own security guards, but they do seem to outsource with someone. It looks like it's called Top Grade Security. It looks like these guys are pretty serious. It looks like Good House International had lobbied Congress and succeeded to get permission to have armed guards protect their facilities thanks to quote-unquote credible threats made to the company due to eco-terrorism.
Oh,
Definitely
man,
sounds like first teams.
Yeah, I mean, well, in eco-terrorism, that's code name for shit
Us.
Garu do. Yeah. Okay. And I guess finally now we'll check to see if Top Grade does have any ties with Pentex or Magadon, just to put
Okay.
a bow on it.
All right. So Top
Well
Grade
done.
is one of the best, one of the cheapest, and quote unquote one of the most effective security teams on the planet. They have been hired not just by companies, but have also done work for the military. They have connections to and are allowed to be equipped in certain situations by another company called Full Force Solutions, which is the military grade subsidy of Hercules Firearms. They have several connections. They have been known and been called in to defend Magadon facilities. There are also reports that they have worked for Endron, though Endron has apparently quote-unquote sniped some of their talent, which led to a rather large media storm in 2006 between Endron and the security team, though it looks like that that could be part of it.
And I don't know, either a stroke of sudden brilliance or massive stupidity. Isn't that the same name that was on the bullet casing?
It was. Well, actually, it is part of. That was Nastrom Enterprises, who are actually the owners of Full Force Solutions. So the bullet casing was produced by Nastrom Enterprises, which are the owner of Full Force Solutions, or co-owner of Full Force Solutions, along with it being a subsidiary of Hercules Firearms, which are a company that tends to produce more recreational weapons, but also helps arm the police force across the nation.
So it's very likely that they do have first team members guarding that place. Makes sense.
Did we notice anything, by the way, while we were in that trailer area, like with the guard, that would lead us to believe that perhaps he was equipped to deal with us?
No, he looked like he just freaked out and felt the full force of the delirium.
Okay. That's all I can think of, for sure.
Question.
Yes.
I don't, again, stroke of brilliance or stroke of stupidity. Do first team members sometimes pretend that they are under the effects of delirium? Like if they're outmatched by Like outnumbered?
You've never come across that you know of. If they were pretending, they did such a good job that they tricked you.
Okay.
One other thing you both found in your research, it seems that Good House International does a very good job of setting itself up almost equidistant from several small towns, so that they have a large workforce despite the rather rural areas they come from. And it seems like they have a very strong history of absorbing the economies of those towns so that they become reliant on the paper mills. And with that, we go back to the Sept of the Sacred Stone. As Mark, you're moving along as you're getting ready to talk with, we're going to say that you're going to go talk to Earthwalker, as he's one of the Garu that you're more familiar with here in the Karen. He's also a fellow Thurge. Okay. When you also see Zeb kind of mulling something over, and you've worked with him long enough now to kind of pick up that he's deep in thought.
I will speak with Zeb before I go and talk with Earthwalker.
God, this is kind of funny, Keegan. We were just talking about this.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we thought you were going to broad stroke this.
Yeah, well, and then Earthwalker was the name that we both said, so it's just kind of funny that it came this way.
Fair enough.
Anyway.
Zeb, you look troubled. Pick your brain?
I have many questions to ask, which is, well, often repugnant trait in a Theurge. Part of me wonders why that Sept was attacked and where the people that were there would go. I consider speaking with Earthwalker, for Chimera whispers in his ear and speaks much upon these enigmas, and I've spoken with Louis before. You?
I consider making an argument at the moot for action. This is an opportunity for victory, is definitely at our hands, and this could be a victory that we need. And I feel I need to converse with Earthwalker as well. I feel I need support.
I agree that an attack is likely needed. I would like to hear his words also. There are other things that I reflect on there, brother. Victory is like sands through our fingertips, but maybe he will have something to add to this and help us divine through it.
Come then. Let's see if we could add some water to this sand to make it mud.
Indeed.
My two favorite false ragabosh. What can I do for you?
Well, continuing in that vein, Earthwalker, we are reflecting upon what we saw at the fallen Sept. Mark and I each have things we would maybe contribute during the moot. Mark's point is one that we can discuss off of, perhaps, if you have time.
I have time. I'm rather curious, especially with all the rumors circulating around the Karen now.
Of course. I feel pressed by Gaia to present an argument, a proposition at the moot. I feel that action is required hastily. Not that I think this moot is a waste of time. Certainly we must plan. To go head first in without a plan would be foolish. What I feel, though, is that we should ask of my Sept as well 5 mirrors for aid. I know they would be willing to send aid and support and would help us in this cause for vengeance. This is a just vengeance, and this would be a great victory for not only our 2 Septs, but it would be vindication, and it would honor the memory of the lost Winter Fangs.
I see. That makes sense. It would definitely play towards your goal. Did Cora come up with this plan by chance?
No, I did.
Oh, good. That will not help quash those rumors, but if she buys in, then I think she will save some face.
I have another line of thought. As Chimera speaks to you, I would wonder, maybe your reflection upon this, why that Sept, and where did those minions of darkness go? Are we being goaded into something? Because did they know what we placed value here? Did they choose, again, I understand, an agent of chaos, but this seems well thought, premeditated, and then to an act or ritual. Is there something that we don't see? Is there a riddle that must be answered?
That's a very real possibility. We know that they must have had a rather large force to attack and destroy an entire Karen. It's part of the reason why, even though we know that where the hive in Cripple Creek is, we haven't fully committed to attacking them. Because there's a very real chance we don't have the forces, and even if we gathered one, you're fighting someone on their home turf, where they know where everything is, and the spirits are on their side. So they were able to take this on and take out the spirits as well, which is concerning, to say the least. And so to put that much effort in, they're not going to leave it to chance that their plans are going to fail, in my mind.
And to that end, I do not question the glory of our people fighting the Wyrm, wherever it dwells, wherever it breeds. I know this, we know it. I worry for it to be a trap. I worry for what we might unguard and present as another place for them to attack while we crash against a rock. It hurts to consider that. It hurts to think that way, but I worry.
That's Regender's concern as well. That's why he was so mad last night. He feared that it would get out that a Karen fell, and there's nothing we could do about it. That sort of problem leads quite a few Garu down into Hirano, and if they did, that would just weaken our Karen without losing a single soldier.
We fight because we must. We fight because it inspires hope. The story is told again and again. It keeps the Gru strong. I see it. I know the pain that the Stargazers feel now for their loss and what this could mean. This is still... It reveals a great gap in what we know about the place and what we missed.
I agree, and I feel their pain as well through my pack totem, but still, I'm wondering if they'll succeed in goading Regender as well. He hasn't been thinking rationally on this one. He's been friends with the Winter Fang for some time, and that was going to be his quickest way to reaching Elder, another layer, so to speak. And it'll probably be you who goes.
All of my visions have told me that in times like this there is another path, but it does not reveal itself to me now, and I am not tactically sound to say otherwise. It would sound cowardly rather than cautionary, and so I will confine it to this circle or this trio here. But Mark, you might have at least the most convincing argument.
True, but I don't want to present this argument without the support of my pack. And of course your pack, Zeb. And no detriment to the Sept or the Cairn here, I feel their support is more important than the others. I must get to them first.
Indeed.
Meanwhile, Dimitri, you're going around and you've been trying to talk to people. This place is strange. You've never actually met any of the Garu here, and you feel a little put off, I suppose. You gain a point of rage because of how uncomfortable all these new people are making you. All the looks of a mix of distrust and pity that seem to constantly be leveraged your way.
Is the set full of Hamids? Or Hamid?
There are a few Lupus born.
Okay.
That you hear about. And there is... Oh, go ahead.
I was just wondering, since that could probably play into just the tension too.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's very few... There's not a ton of Lupus. There are some, certainly. Okay. You have heard of Bloodwind, who is a Lupus of the Get of Fenris. You have also heard of Running Star, who is a Lupus of the Silver Fangs. You have also heard of Calls the Night. That was the Garu who greeted you. They are of the tribe Older Brother.
Okay. What Dimitri wants to do is find that glasswalker. Her name was Rhonda Quickwire?
Ragna.
Okay.
Yep. And so you're on your way, and you do find Ragna. You are guided by a albino named Steven. He is of your tribe, of the Bone Gnawers. As he goes, all right, this way. I'll show you the ways around.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Sure, no problem. I'm gonna be honest, I don't see a lot of, oh shit, hang on, as you see him, like, going into his pack and pulling out sunscreen and rubbing it on his face as he's walking. I don't see a lot of country gnawers out here, at least not ones I heard. I hear there's several in the Appalachians, but never heard of a Midwestern country boy like yourself.
We are around here and there.
I guess so. Have you had a chance to go to the big one in Manhattan?
The big one?
Oh, I guess not. We usually have a big moot in Manhattan. It usually gets around to Bone Gnawers. It's a bender through the city. We even get a couple of Fianda to make charms so that the Lupus can get totally blitzed in their Hamid forms.
Dimitri is gonna look a little confused, but he's gonna just nod, nod as if he understands, but he doesn't get it.
As he goes, but yeah, it's great. We go, it's a Super Bowl party, you bounce from place to place, you get the stories of the people, you learn about it, you have a big moot, you tell the stories, and then we get into, games, fights, chess, the works. Anyway, you see that building? Yeah, that's the big copy building. That's where Ragna is. She owns some office space. She's on the 3rd floor, room 1085.
All right. Thank you again, Steven. I appreciate the help.
Hey, no problem. We Bone Gnawers got to stick together. The Omega Tribe's got if there's no one at the bottom to catch you, what are we good for? Do you want me to hang out here, help walk you back to the Karen, or do you got the map in your head?
I think I can find my way. I may be staying here for a while longer, though I don't know how long. I need to learn my way around.
Yeah, I gotcha. Colorado Springs is a pretty wide city, but once you figure it out, there's only like 3 or 4 places to really go, in my mind. But what do I know? I'm usually running from the cops. All right. Hey, catch you later, Dimitri.
All right, see you later.
And you can call me Steven or Ngaru Company Town Hall. And so you head inside as you see this rather tall woman typing away at a computer. She's got her shortcut blondish hair. As she looks up and goes, and kind of squints a bit. Can I help you?
Yes, maybe you can. I am Dimitri, or Howls-In-Memory.
And she goes, okay. Hey, close the door first, please.
And Dimitri will close the door, and that's when he pulls out the bullet casing and says, I was told that you could help me trace this.
And she takes it from you.
This was found at the cairn of my Sept when Fomori's Bane found me and we investigated what happened. We investigated deeper. I thought that perhaps we would be able to find where it was made, and it would be another target for us to strike.
I see. Let me check something. As she's typing away. All right. Yep. That. Okay. So this is from an actual military-grade weapons manufacturer. You see this NE?
Yes.
That's Nastrom Enterprises. They do missiles, aircrafts, the fucking works. Hercules is, the H here is Hercules Firearms. They're one of the biggest weapons gun manufacturers here in America. lobby the shit out of the government, got their own gun club. You know, I think like half of all gun owners are registered with their gun club, even if they don't own a Herculean firearm. This here suggests that it came out of a factory here, as she turns the computer screen to you, in Northern Virginia. I'd heard that a very small child of Gaia Karen fell there back in the 90s, before that weapons depot went up.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was. But they've been pumping out weapons ever since.
I see. And Dimitri is going to pause for a moment as he just kind of takes in all this information. And, do they have any local sites around here? Any local factories?
Oh, yeah. Springs is a big military spot. They've got testing sites out at Schriever Air Force Base, Peterson Air Force Base. They even got a couple on Fort Carson where they have weapons for the Army, things like that. They're big players.
All right. I appreciate you taking your time to help me. I suppose I expected a more straightforward target than this.
It's
a lot more than I expected.
It's one of the frustrating things about who we are and what we got to do.
Yes, it is. I thank you again, and I may come back if I think of any more question.
Sure.
Oh,
go ahead.
Sorry, kind of an out of character question. Is she gonna keep the casing, or?
No, she hands it back to you.
Okay, yeah. Dimitri will take it back and excuse himself.
And she goes, as he's about to open the door, she goes, and Dimitri, right?
Yes.
I'm sorry for your loss.
And Dimitri isn't really sure how to answer that, because I think that's probably the first time somebody has said that to him since he got here, and he's just gonna kind of fidget for a moment, trying to find the words before he kind of mumbles a thank you and leaves.
All right, as you're kind of heading back, things have been kind of busy. You guys kind of chat with a few people. You get a few people in your corner. You get a couple people elsewise. Roy, as you're kind of thinking things up, you see gazes from afar kind of approaching you.
Hey there, gazes from afar.
Mindscape, I read pain upon your face. It's so obvious that I think a sociopath could read it.
Well, I'm not trying to hide. The pain I'm feeling, though, is the slap in the face from going to that Sept that we just came back from. Finding out that my old packmate is dead.
I'm sorry.
And I just don't know how to process it.
She passed, and from all accounts that you said, she was a noble Garu to some degree, right?
Consider her part of the family.
Then her spirit will return to Gaia, and Gaia will breathe her soul into the next generation so that she can return and continue the fight in another lifetime.
I thank you for those kind words. I just never saw her as the fighter. She was more of the galliard than I know.
Then it will give her a chance to call upon memories of the past again and sing for future generations. Gaia won't let a spirit that bright go out.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Still hits really hard.
Yeah, I can understand that. But it is part of the path we walk. And you'll have a chance to think about it soon enough, I think. The eclipse is almost upon us. Perhaps that's something you can wrestle within yourself as you enter the High Umbra.
That's right. After everything that I've been doing, I kind of forgot about that.
It's easy to forget these things, but these little rituals help us ground ourselves, ironically.
It's funny you mentioned that. I've been forgetting my two daily rituals for the longest time.
And because of that, time has blended together, hasn't it?
That it has.
It is through ritual that we ground ourselves in time. And it is through these little rituals that allow us to mark the passage through events rather than abstract and meaningless constructs like dates and months.
That's one way of putting it. All I do is question. I don't want to keep questioning every single thing that comes up. If rituals ground us, then perhaps I could perform the ritual of vengeance and take care of the ones that have killed Morgan.
That is a ritual. I understand your frustration, and Kun must be battled. But remember the true enemy that I've told you about, and see her machinations once you have time to heal, is all I ask.
Thing is I'm not hurt in a typical sense. Yes, my heart is in pain, and I feel sadness, but I do not feel as she is gone from the world. Like you said, her spirit still walks among us with Gaia, but I still want justice for those that have taken her too soon.
I understand. Only you can answer only you can answer if this will bring you peace. And if it does, then I will support you in it.
I know not of what comes in the future. I can only speculate. But right now it feels right.
Then that is what you will do.
What I've seen has opened my mind and broadened my horizons with the Garu.
And so, as the day kind of continues and you all kind of have had your chats, you all kind of reconvene together before the moot starts. Helios is starting to set, but it hasn't gone dark yet. The fires are being set so that they can smolder at the very moment he crests under the mountain and darkness takes the sky.
Mark will, since we're all convened now, Mark's gonna present his argument and just ask for the pack's opinion, and he will gladly present the argument himself at the moot if they want him to. And he will also, Mark is also going to add that before the moot, I could possibly summon Winds of the Mountain, and Zeb could help me, because he was there with us, and the fire did spread very far in that area, and as a wind spirit, he is a very chaotic wind spirit, but maybe there's a chance he might have heard or saw something, information like that could aid us.
As far as the spirit goes, I think that's an excellent idea.
Perhaps this could temper Regender's temper.
Your plan basically was to just go in full force, right?
Well, it's... Yes, but with information that we need to appropriately go in with the appropriate force. That kind of seems to be what Regender is on about. Doesn't want to invest too much, doesn't want to invest too little. We're kind of looking for that Goldilocks zone, I guess, for final days.
I think that probably sending Infernal Alphas ahead would be good, mostly because they're faster and they'd be able to do some investigation before the mass got there. And it also helps that Zeb has spirit speech, so he could send a spirit back. That'll be quicker than one of them running back to us.
That's certainly an added bonus and benefit, definitely. I'm not here to force a plan. I'm here to hash out a plan with you guys.
Any other ideas?
My idea is to hit them full force, go in with the element of surprise. They wouldn't see us coming. We're fast.
Well,
We're tough.
we don't even know if we have the element of surprise. They already know that we were there, but because of that, a little bit of the element of surprise is already gone.
Right.
But
They're expecting.
They're expecting us.
They're expecting
Or
us
maybe not.
much later. We got here in time that should not have happened.
There will be a time to go in full force, but right now, we need to prepare to go in full force.
Perhaps
So we move out and send our fastest Garu to scout. By the time we get there, information is ready, and we don't waste time. Time is of the essence, right? This
Definitely.
Cairn is a breeding ground for the
Yeah.
Banes to make a hive.
Right now, we need to go through the proper ritual here of presenting this. Regender has called for a moot, and we must do this proper.
I'm inclined to agree with your point. The first one is as Luna ascends and Helios is in decline, the tides and the winds change. Now is a time to speak to winds of chaos. Secondarily, and I think in point with Two-Hearts' own quest, send Roy and I out ahead. Either we verify what's there and we get information should this endeavor with the wind spirit fail, or not. But it's too fostering. It could be two of us that got lost. It doesn't reveal anything of our strength. It doesn't reveal anything behind us. There is danger in two armies passing each other and never knowing it. It is a hive. It is not the hive. Again, yes, destroy the Wyrm. I hate it more than I could ever hate anything deep within me. But perhaps this is the way. Information is in desperate need.
I also know the lay of the land. I could guide you so that we remain undetected and unseen.
Very well.
So it seems that the Infernal Alphas and Howls-In-Memory offers for reconnaissance. Guards the low, what do you think?
Before I answer, Keegan, did I get to walk around? Did Cora and I get to walk around with the maps and find if any more coincided?
Yes, and a few did.
Did they coincide with fallen cairns or existing ones?
At least one is existing to the best of that Garu's knowledge, and one is confirmed fallen.
Okay. I agree that we should hit it nearly as quickly as we can, with as little preparation as we can do, though I think it's wise to send the Infernal Alphas first. Cora and I gathered information that shows that they tend to place these factories, these paper mills, near cairns. Existing cairns are ones that either they have made fall or others had. So it is likely that this will continue if we don't do something to stop it. It's a pattern.
Definitely more cause for our side. Would it be safe to say then that there's agreement?
I would like to think so. I can't sit idly by talking about some political bullshit. Excuse me. It might be the way that we have, but is it the proper way?
We cannot overburden our speculation with this. Definitely, we must plan, but we must not haze our cause and vision with too much overthinking and thought. Action is required, definitely. Thinking is required, definitely. But neither too much of both.
In that spirit, I believe you should summon your spirit friend as soon as possible, so we can get that information and incorporate it.
Certainly. Zeb, would you like to aid me?
I would.
So with his aid, you will gain a bonus die, and you can make that roll.
Sweet! Easy enough.
And he's diff, I believe, 7.
And you said one extra die?
1 extra die for Zeb helping.
Okay.
All right, so the spirit arrives, a bit annoyed as it goes,
I seem to be seeing you more often, guides the fallen.
Yes, winds of the mountain. And I do know I am edging on smirching my company on you, which is why first with this summoning, I would ask of you, what can I do to you? What can I do for you so that I may gain your boon?
Go to the lands of the Barnscar, crush trees and knock them over so I may run free.
And so the pact is made. I will do this for you. And now, another request. I know I summoned you at the Sept of the Winter Fang, far and distant from where you normally travel. But I ask of you, while you were there, while you were dancing with the flames, guiding their chaotic destruction, did you happen to hear or see anything of perhaps those that are corrupted versions of me and my packmates?
My eyes were blurred and my ears plugged, for I was far from my own domain, and so I was nearly blind, deaf, and dumb.
Perhaps not you, but upon your exit of the area, did you perhaps hear whispers from other wind spirits? Maybe something, talk of happenings, talk of large or small groups of Garu.
They didn't speak of Garu necessarily. They simply said that the corruption decided to fester underground, for they could waft the smells, but they could not see the spirits. There was more darkness there than at first apparent.
It runs deep, this corruption, then. Deep into Gaia herself. Is there any information that you feel you need to provide spirits?
That is all I can say, really. But I can tell you that the seeds themselves festered with shadow.
And certainly the blight is much larger than is evident. Thank you, spirit. I'll give him a gnosis for his troubles.
And he vanishes. As you hear
I will.
the crunching of footsteps coming up towards you, as the sun is continuing to set, it's getting very close to the horizon.
I will turn around to see who is walking.
You see Final Days, as he looks over all of you and goes, I don't mean to be too much trouble, but before the moot, I was hoping I'd be able to speak to Kyle and Cora.
Well, of course, Final Days. But do know, I have important information for you. And
as he's starting, Regender kind of puts up his hand and goes, that is what the mood is for. I wanted to speak to them before it started, if you don't mind.
oh, of course.
Cora?
While we're speaking with him, please check with the fire spirit as well.
Of course.
There is a significant cost to speaking with him that would involve letting a fire run rampant through the bond. I do not recommend speaking with Burns with No Mercy as a means of gathering information. His desires are pure, but not in line with our own.
My apologies, of course.
No, I wish I could give you more. I am sorry. I know the burden is upon your shoulders. He is not the one. We will converse and see if we can find another, perhaps from the trees.
As Regender comes up, Kyle, Cora, may I speak to you in private?
Of course.
Sure.
And he takes you aside and goes, I wanted to apologize. I was harsh without constructive criticism, without trying to speak to what you did wrong. And I let my temper barb and bite your souls and your spirits, and I wanted to apologize. It was unjust of me.
You were correct, though.
One can be correct and still be, what is it that you children say, an asshole about it.
You gave us a lot to think on and plenty to learn from.
I suppose. I'm sorry that I failed you in that moment, and I do respect both of you greatly. And you are very much my surrogate children in the Sept, and I wanted you to know that despite your lapse in judgment, I still love both of you, and that I still greatly respect you and what you've done for this Karen.
Thank you. I guess along that same vein, it is common for parents to be disappointed in their children sometimes.
Sometimes. It's also equally common for children to be disappointed in their parents.
Thank you.
Thank you, Regender.
Of course.
But know that I recognize that our failure was far greater than yours.
You both have matured so much in this world. You both do me and the nation proud. It's about to start, shall we?
Of course.
Yes.
As you go down, you see the fires have already started to smolder. And before the whole meeting in the groups, you see Night Singer from the Children of Gaia side and Distant Song from the older brother side getting ready. As Distant Song goes, shh, 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 do you see it? Do you hear it? The fires grow dim and the night grows long. As Night Singer goes, the shadows grow and the serpent slithers. Soon it comes, we tell the tale, the fall of White Howler. For the White Howler stood against the great Roman Empire, and both start to speak in unison. Together forever, fighting endlessly, as the Wyrm took hold of their spirit and their kin. The world against them as shadows grow, until they saw the mouth to the great labyrinth. Dance they did, fight they did, trying to get to the heart of the Wyrm. They let their rage flow pure from them, but still it was never enough. No, no, no. Eyes of fire, green flames, balefire, burning in everything. Only one survived, only one stayed true. Koruk, he ran and spoke the truth, dying in the arms of the Fianna as glaives cut him through. Now the howlers crawl within the mother, burrowing, festering, crawling asunder. The howlers come, their death blow ready, and soon we must fight, for all of us could fall to folly. As Regender steps up at the moot, going, the moot will begin, and we must speak to what has happened at the Sept of the Winter Fang. And so the dark business begins. The Infernal Alphas, Fomori's Bane, Howls-In-Memory. Recall to them everything you know.
We do so.
Okay. As you start giving information, you start giving the information from the library, the information from the spirit, the information that Ragna picked up from the bullet, the map, everything. As the Sept just watches in utter silence. As Final Days listens to you all and goes, good. Thank you. Have a seat. Now that we know what is there, we must determine, is this endeavor worth it? With how little we know, except that we know that they will bring corruption, that they will leverage the heart of the Karen. Is it worth fighting and dying in potentially great numbers and putting this Karen at risk? Speak up.
Mark will be the first to rise up, I guess, because he is very adamant about this alliance. And he will present his argument that, the Infernal Alphas and Fomori's Bane argument and cause for going to the Winter Fang, sealing the cairn, destroying the hive, and how it is a much needed victory for the nation, and it would be the perfect, glorious event to seal the alliance between Five Mirrors and Sacred Stone, and that how Five Mirrors should be involved as well.
Cora will stand up and present the plan that the Infernal Alphas and Dimitri should go ahead of them, preferably during the moot, so that we have enough time to get the information that we need. And as soon as the majority of our people get there, we can get that information and divvy out tasks and go full force and, yeah, kick the shit out of everyone there.
It's possible. Though I feel there's a bit of conflict with the other plan then. For while you send the Infernal Alphas, it will take time to meet up with packs from the Five Mirrors if that alliance of packs is what is worth doing. You hear from the back as Running Star speaks up. I question whether or not that is a good use of our scouting, simply because, well, forming a plan an hour before you strike does not yield good plans.
How far in between Five Mirrors and Sacred Stone is
Winter Fang?
Winter Fang, yeah.
Wasn't Winter Fang just basically a state across from Five Mirrors? Because it was in Minnesota, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
So Five Mirrors is in Wisconsin, and Winter Fang is in Minnesota, so that's pretty close, but you guys would have to go and then you guys would have to jump to North Dakota. It would still be a couple days on foot to get there, though.
I'll go ahead and step up and state coming up with a plan 1 hour ahead of time may yield unfavorable results, but overthinking can lead to just as much, if not more, issues, especially with the critical situation we are in.
As Running Star goes, perhaps the rage is speaking through you.
We all have rage that speaks through us, some a little bit more than others currently, but if the Infernal Alphas and Dimitri were to go scouting, it would only be a scout. I would not jeopardize a mission that could ruin and take many, many lives.
If you say so. I have doubts.
Mark will interject. We're not calling for an hour from now immediate action. I guess the fervency is coming from the longer we will dawdle, the more that the scenario can get out of our control. It seems we might have caught them at a good point, and we could strike while the iron is hot.
Howling King speaks up. The situation's already out of control. There's a hive there. The spirits will be Banes. The fact is that they bring more corruption every day. And yes, there will be more corruption in coming days, but do you think that striking hot now would mean anything? Especially if they knew people were on their lands, as you had so fervently explained?
Were able to... Oh, go ahead.
I have faced black spirals before, and despite what the legends say, they're not all insane, and they're all not stupid.
So then, are you saying that calling for this action is insane and stupid?
I'm saying that it is dangerous, and that the Sept of the Winter Fang was a weaker Karen than this one. And if we lose 6 Garu, then this Sept is more susceptible to falling. And if we get members from the Sept of the Five Mirrors to go, and they get attacked during this little operation, that could be 2 Karens, 3 Karens falling, because we have decided to go in headstrong, half-cocked, and with not enough information. A sudden scouting mission to try and hit them hard and fast is going to lead to Garu dying.
Kyle will step up. You are right. There is a good chance that it will lead to Gaian deaths. But from what we gathered with these paper mills, this is not the first cairn that they have taken for either similar purposes or for these mills. And it likely won't be the last. It's doubtful that they gather new spirals for every attack. These spirals are likely to have attacked multiple cairns at this point. So we should look not just to end this hive, but to stop future cairns from falling.
It's possible. Do we need to send word via spirit to the 5 mirrors then to coordinate? Because that will take some time too. The spirits only go as fast as the animal you send. That would be several days before they are made aware of our plans.
I would say yes. But as we speak through this in this moot, definitely my fires have been tempered. Planning and thinking is our fight right now.
If it would be faster, Fomori's Bane could potentially take moon bridges until we could reach them, cut off a few days.
Very well. As Regender goes, I accept that. Though I ask then, if you all go, that you do it tomorrow. Because we have one last thing we do wish. It is a tradition, and it is one that must be kept.
Of course.
As Final Day stands up, as he shifts into Krynos and gives out a howl, he holds his arms out, and Fate Dancer also turns and shifts into full Krynos, and she joins him in the bow as they both... And then you see... And then again, the next one to shift into Krynos is Evenclaw, as he shifts into Krynos. And they all three bow before Howls-In-Memory, and Regender speaks up, his deep Krynos voice booming with the Garu tongue.
Tell us the story of your Sept. Tell the stories of your heroes, so that they may be remembered, even after they fall, and no others from that Sept survive to remember them.
Is this something that Dimitri would shift into Krynos for, or...?
He would either shift into Krynos or Lupus for to give the howls of his people and his Sept.
Okay. Yeah, Dimitri is going to shift into Lupus.
Okay.
And then I would like to use Perfect Recall so that he can remember all of his stories as he howls and recounts the history of his Sept, his cairn, and his home and family.
All right. Could I get a Charisma Performance difficulty 5, please?
Okay. I wanted to add that Dimitri has been kind of tense ever since his arrival at the Sept, and I'm sure everybody in the pack has also noticed, and he even tensed up a bit more at the mention of his Sept being a weaker Sept. But when he gives the howls of counting the stories of his Sept, he actually starts to kind of release some of that tension, and at the end, there are tears in his eyes as he kind of lets go of those bottled up emotions.
As you give a beautiful rendition of all the stories that you've heard throughout your time there. And you see many of the Galliards bowing their heads, their ears open, listening to the stories, taking the lessons from them so that they can tell them again and again and again and again. And so your Sept will never truly die as long as a single Garu draws breath. And we will see how this little plan of theirs works out next time. Thank you to everyone who listened, and we will catch you in that next episode. Bye.
Night.
Bye.